to talk a little bit about composition of photographs. Composing a photograph and taking time to think about how the picture looks, how you're going to compose it, how you're going to set up the camera, is what turns a photograph from a snapshot into a good photograph. I love the idea that a photograph is a snapshot with intent, essentially something that we've thought about how it looks. There are some basic rules which you will hear talked about: the rule of thirds, leading lines, symmetry, and these are all fantastic places to start. But remember, these are all guidelines, not hard and fast rules. I've seen fantastic photographs which have broken these rules. I've seen fantastic photographs which stick to these rules. But if you show that you know them, then actually when you break them, people are far more understanding. First thing to do is consider the subject that you're taking a picture of. Are you taking a landscape? Are you taking a portrait? Are you taking a macro photo of a beautiful butterfly or a flower? Once you've considered the subject, think about how much of the subject you actually want to represent. If you're taking a landscape, do you want to take a picture of the entire landscape? This is one of the first things that people do, which will sometimes undermine how good your picture could be. You might be somewhere that is absolutely beautiful and you think, I want to capture this whole image. But the problem is, sometimes the whole image doesn't do what you're seeing justice. Maybe what is actually making it beautiful for you is one particular part of what you're seeing. It's the same with a portrait as well. Sometimes actually focusing on a smaller part of the face, focusing on the whole face, focusing on the face, looking at then actually increasing it to include the tops of the shoulders or the bust, entirely up to you. You need to think about what you want to portray through your photograph. So think about which part of the image, which part of the subject you actually want to capture. Then think about lining up your camera. Very simply, actually hold your camera straight. That's really important. It's amazing how often I see photographs that could be amazing, but for one simple detail, like slightly off horizontal lines, those sorts of things can really damage a photograph. And then consider the rules. Things like the rule of thirds, symmetry, and leading lines. The rule of thirds is very simple. If you break up the picture into 9 boxes, so 2 vertical lines, 2 horizontal lines, and you try and place your subject on where those lines intersect, so at each edge of those lines. Particularly with landscapes, one of the things that I would say that I see a lot of people do is they know the rule of thirds and they'll set the horizon at the lower third, which means that you've got a lot of blue sky. Is a lot of blue sky what you want to capture? If it's an amazing sky and it's a stormy, moody, wonderfully cloudy day, then capturing a lot of detail in the sky can be fantastic. If it's just a lot of blue, you're capturing a whole lot of blue and it may well not do the picture justice. However, remember, these are just guidelines. I have done that myself and I've been really pleased with the results. Symmetry is something that can work really well as well. Placing your subject dead center is not necessarily a bad thing, and you can combine the two. Actually, if you use the rule of thirds horizontally or vertically, but then place your subject dead center for the opposite side, you're still using some of those rules. You're getting that benefit of central positioning while also creating something that's a little bit more unusual. Leading lines are a classic painting effect. You want to draw the eye into a subject, and if you look at classic Renaissance painters, if you look at the paintings that have been inspired by Stourhead or that Stourhead was set up to represent, the landscapes there are full of leading lines. We have the edges of lakes, we have trees, we have pathways that are designed to give us these leading lines. Sometimes they are natural structures. I've seen amazing pictures of the dunes or riverbanks which use these leading lines. Equally, you can use a road or you can use a path to create these leading lines. The idea is that it draws your eye into the photograph. And actually, if you can combine all three, if you combine leading lines, some symmetry and a rule of thirds, you will get an image that is striking. If you can then combine it with an amazing subject, you've got a winning image. Finally, one of the things that I see a lot of beginner photographers do, or not even beginner photographers, I've seen that people have been taking pictures for years doing it, is every picture gets taken from eye height. When we look at a landscape, when we look at a person, when we look at any subject, almost always our view is from our eyes, fairly obviously. So we grab the camera and we bring it up to our eye to be able to give us that image. One of the things that I love about mirrorless cameras, and actually now more and more on DSLRs with live view and things like that, is we don't have to be looking through the viewfinder to be able to see it. We can move our position horizontally, move our position vertically very easily and still be able to see exactly what we're getting. And it means you don't have to worry about hurting your back or your knees if these are things which are issues for you, like my mother. We can take our picture by dropping the camera down, by lifting the camera up, not actually dropping the camera down, lowering the camera gently and in a perfectly safe and stable way. Don't drop your camera, even if it will make a great picture. By moving the camera down, we can often enhance these leading lines. We can find it easier to get our rule of thirds while still maintaining a nice composition. And it can also give us a better view of our subject than we had originally. So get out there, try these tips, try some of the composition that I've been showing you, and it will just give you some idea of how to compose better images. If you've been enjoying this series, please subscribe. There will be, I think, another 16 videos to come after this, so keep up to date with it, and if you subscribe you'll be notified of all of the videos that are coming up.